Vivekachudamani, Part 2, from the collected works of Sri Ramana Maharshi. Invocation. Rejoice eternally. The heart rejoices at the feet of the Lord, who is the Self, shining within as I eternally, so that there is no alternation of night and day. This will result in removal of ignorance of the Self. Praise to the Guru. Shri Shankara, Jagat Guru, shines as the form of Lord Shiva. In this work, Vivekachudamani, he has expounded in detail the heart of Vedanta and its meaning in order that the most ardent of those qualified for liberation may acquaint themselves with it and attain immortality. Homage to the ever blissful Sri Govinda Sadguru, who is to be known only by the ultimate truth of Vedanta and not by any other standard. The text. It is indeed very difficult to obtain a human body. Even though one does, it is very difficult to become a Brahmin. Even if one becomes one, it is still more difficult to walk in the path of Vedika Dharma, in which the Vedas are chanted. Still more difficult is to become a perfect scholar, and more difficult again to undertake inquiry into the self and the non-self. Yet more difficult than all this is to obtain wisdom born of experience of the self. Born of that wisdom is not to be attained except as a result of righteous actions performed throughout countless crores of births. However, even though all the above qualifications may not be obtained, liberation is assured through the grace of the Lord if only three conditions are obtained. That is, a human birth, intense desire for liberation, and association with sages. If by some great penance that rarity a human body is obtained, with its ability to understand the meaning of the scriptures, and yet owing to attachment to insentient things, effort is not made to attain the immutable state of liberation, which is one's own true state, then indeed one is a fool committing suicide. What greater fool is there than one who does not seek his own good? Liberation is not to be achieved through endless cycles of time by reading the scriptures or worshipping the gods or by anything else than knowledge of the unity of Brahman and Atma. Wealth or actions made possible by wealth cannot produce the yearning for liberation. Therefore, the scriptures have rightly declared that action can never produce liberation. In order to obtain liberation, one must heroically renounce even the very desire for the pleasures of this world. Then one must seek the perfect Guru, who is embodiment of peace, and must concentrate one's mind and meditate ceaselessly on that into which one is initiated. Such meditation leads to abidance in the wisdom of the experience obtained. Embarking in that ship of wisdom, one must ferry over to the shore of liberation that self which is immersed in ocean of samsara. Therefore, the courageous aspirant should give up attachment to wife, sons, and property and give up all activity. By so doing, he should free himself from bondage to the cycle of birth and death and seek liberation. Actions are prescribed only for purification of the mind, not for realization of the self. Knowledge of the truth of the self is obtained only by self-inquiry and not by any number of actions. One who mistakes a rope for a serpent is cast into fear thereby, and his fear and distress can be removed only by the knowledge that it is a rope. A friend who knows this tells him so, and he investigates and finds that it is so. There is no other way. Similarly, knowledge of Brahman is obtained through initiation by the Guru and inquiry into truth. That truth cannot be realized through purificatory baths, offerings, breath control, or any other practice. He who seeks liberation through knowledge of the self must inquire into the self with the help of the perfect Guru, who, being free from desires, is a knower of Brahman and an ocean of grace. It is mainly through inquiry that he who is competent achieves knowledge of the self. Circumstance, time, and the grace of the Lord are but aids to the quest. In order to be qualified for inquiry into the self, a man must have a powerful intellect and ability to seize the essential and reject the inessential, besides the various qualities enumerated in the scriptures. What are these? He must be able to discriminate between the real and the unreal. He must have an unattached mind. He must ardently desire liberation, and he must be tireless in practice. Only such a one is qualified to inquire into Brahman. The qualifications are enumerated as follows: discrimination between the real and the unreal, disinclination to enjoy the fruits of one's actions, either in this or in any further life, the 6 virtues of tranquility, self-control, withdrawal, forbearance, faith, and concentration of the self, intense yearning for liberation. The aspirant must indeed have these qualities in order to attain abidance in the self. Without them, there can be no realization of the truth. Let us see what these are. Discrimination between the real and the unreal is the firm conviction that Brahman alone is the truth and that the world is unreal. We both observe and learn from the scriptures that all pleasures experienced by animate beings, from Brahma downwards, are transient and impermanent and involve sorrows and imperfections. Giving up the desire for them is vairagya or non-attachment. Number 3, tranquility implies fixing the mind upon its target by meditating frequently on the imperfections of things and becoming dissatisfied with them. Self-control means controlling the outer and inner sense organs and fixing them in their respective centers. Withdrawal means giving up all outer activity by fixing the mind on its target so firmly that it is not led by its previous tendencies to dwell on objects. Forbearance means the endurance of any sorrows that may befall without trying to avoid them. Faith, which is the cause of self-realization, is the outcome of firm conviction of the truth of Vedantic scriptures and of the words of the Guru. Concentration is making every effort to fix the mind on the pure Brahman despite its wandering nature. These are said to be the 6 qualifications needed for the practice of Samadhi. Intense yearning for liberation arises from the desire to free oneself by realizing one's true nature, attaining freedom from the bondage of the body and ego, which is caused by ignorance. This yearning may be of different grades. It may be only dull or medium, but it may be highly developed by means of the 6 qualifications mentioned above. And in this case, it can bear fruit. But if renunciation and yearning are weak, the result may be mere appearance like a mirage in the desert. Of all the means leading to liberation, bhakti or devotion is the best. And this bhakti means seeking the truth of one's own self. So say the sages. The aspirant who possesses the necessary qualifications and wishes to undertake self-inquiry must seek a Sadguru and bow down to him with humility, awe, and reverence, and serve him in various ways. The Sadguru is one capable of destroying the bondage of those who adhere to him. He is an ocean of immutable wisdom. His knowledge is all comprehensive. He is pure as crystal. He has attained victory over desires. He is supreme among the knowers of Brahman. He rests calmly in Brahman like a fire that has consumed its fuel. He is an endless reservoir of mercy. There is no explanation why he is merciful. It is his very nature. He befriends all sadhus who adhere to him. To such a guru, the disciple appeals, I bow down to you, my master, true friend of the helpless. I pray you to help me cross the terrible ocean of bondage into which I have fallen and by which I am overwhelmed. A mere gracious look from you is a raft that will save me. O flowing stream of grace, I am shaken violently by the winds of a perverse fate. I do not know which way to turn. I am tormented by the unquenchable fire of samsara that burns around me. I continually pray to you to calm me by the nectar of your grace. Sadhus such as you, who abide ever in peace, are great and magnanimous and constantly benefit the world like the season of spring. Not only have they themselves crossed the ocean of samsara, but they can calm the fears of others. Just as the world, after being heated by the burning rays of the sun, is calmed by the cool and gracious rays of the moon, so also it is in your nature to give protection for no reason whatsoever to people like me who have taken refuge with you from the ocean of samsara. Indeed, being helpless and having no other refuge, I have cast on you the burden of protecting me from this samsara of birth and death. O Lord, the flames of the conflagration of individual being have scorched me. Cool me through the outpouring of your gracious words. Your words bring peace, being born of your experience of divine bliss. Blessed are they that have even received your gracious glance. Blessed are they who have become acceptable to you. How shall I cross the ocean, and what means is there? I do not indeed know what is my fate. You alone must protect me, setting me free from this sorrow of samsara. The disciple thus takes refuge with the Guru as enjoined by the scriptures. He waits upon the Guru, unable to bear the burning winds of samsara. His mind grows calm through following the Guru's bidding. The teacher, that is, the knower of Brahman, casts upon him his gracious glance and touches his soul inwardly, giving him assurance of protection. My learned disciple, have no fear. No harm shall come to you hereafter. I will give you a single mighty means by which you can cross this terrible, fathomless ocean of samsara and thus obtain supreme bliss. By this means, word-renouncing sadhus have crossed it, and your bondage also shall be destroyed here and now. The scriptures declare the means of liberation for seekers are faith, devotion, meditation, and yoga. You too shall obtain these means, and if you practice them constantly, shall be set free from the bondage to the body caused by ignorance. You are eternally of the nature of Paramatma, and this bondage of samsara, of non-self, has come upon you only through ignorance. It will be utterly destroyed by knowledge born of inquiry into the self. Gazing on the Guru who says this, the disciple asks, O Master, what is bondage? How did it come? How does it survive? And how is it to be destroyed? What is the non-self? And what indeed is the self? And what is discrimination between self and non-self? Graciously bless me with the answers to these questions, so that by hearing your replies, I may be blessed. To this request of the disciple, the Master answers, Dear soul, if you have felt the desire to be the self, free from the bondage caused by ignorance, you are indeed blessed. You have achieved life's purpose. You have sanctified thereby your whole line. Just as sons and other relations pay off the debts of a father, so there are others who will free one from bearing a burden on one's head. But the distress caused by hunger can be cured only by eating for oneself, not by others eating for one. And if you are sick, you must take medicine and keep a proper diet yourself. No one else can do it for you. Similarly, bondage comes to you through your own ignorance and can only be removed by yourself. However learned a man may be, he cannot rid himself of the ignorance born of desire and fate except by realizing Brahman with his own infinite knowledge. How does it help you if others see the moon? You must open your eyes and see it for yourself. Liberation cannot be obtained through Sankhya, Yoga, ritual, or learning, but only through knowledge of the oneness of Brahman and Atman. Just as the beautiful form of the Veena and the music of its strings only give pleasure to people, but confer no kingdom on them, so also plausible words, clever arguments, ability to expound the scriptures, and the erudition of the learned only give pleasure for the moment. Even study of the scriptures is useless, since it does not give the desired result. Once one knows the truth of the Supreme, study of the scriptures become unnecessary, because there is nothing more to be gained. Therefore one must pass over the great forest of the Shastras, which only yields confusion of mind, and must instead actually experience the self through the Guru, who is a knower of reality. To one who is bitten by the serpent of ignorance, salvation can come only from the elixir of self-knowledge, and not from the Vedas, scriptures, incantations, or any other remedies. Just as a person's sickness is not removed without taking medicine, so too his state of bondage is not removed by scriptural texts such as I am Brahman, without his own direct experience of the self. One does not become a king by merely saying I am a king, without destroying one's enemies and obtaining the reality of power. Similarly, one does not obtain liberation as Brahman itself by merely repeating the scriptural text I am Brahman, without destroying the duality caused by ignorance and directly experiencing the self. A treasure trove hidden under the ground is not obtained by merely hearing about it, but only by being told by a friend who knows it, and then digging and removing the slab that hides it, and taking it out from below the ground. Similarly, one must hear about one's true state from a guru who knows Brahman, and then meditate upon it and experience it directly through constant meditation. Without this, the true form of one's own self that is hidden by Maya cannot be realized through mere argumentation. Therefore, those who are wise themselves make every effort to remove the bondage of individual existence and obtain liberation, just as they would get rid of some disease. Beloved disciple, the question that you have put is of the utmost importance and acceptable to realized souls well versed in the scriptures. It is like an aphorism bearing a subtle meaning and understandable to him who craves liberation. Listen to this reply with a calm and undisturbed mind, and your bonds will be cut asunder at once. The primary means of obtaining liberation is vairagya, dispassion. Other qualities such as tranquillity, self-control, forbearance, and renunciation of activity can come later. Later again, the hearing of Vedantic truth, and still later meditation on that truth. Finally comes perpetual and prolonged meditation on Brahman. This gives rise to Nirvikalp Samadhi, through which is attained the strength for direct realization of the Supreme Self. This power of direct realization enables the discriminating soul to experience the bliss of liberation here and now. Such is the sadhana leading to liberation.